G'day and welcome to the second Starlet video. COVID shots. Let me start with that. So, had my first dose, didn't feel anything. Second dose, hit by a bus the following day after it. Sick for 2.5 days and had a booster. And in my job, we got a communication saying if you don't get your booster, you don't work. Right? Which is a nice way to speak to people who are trained professionals for 20 years, but you know, they want to keep everyone safe, so to speak, so it's all good. Anyway, that was a shocker. I got the shot and I knew I had 12 hours to play with before I felt crummy, and I was sick, and it wasn't very pleasant. Some people will walk off scot-free and don't get anything. I've reacted to, well, two of the three, and my arm's not sore at all. You know, she said, which arm do you want it in? There, stick it in that one because I'm right-handed. There was no pain with the needles. It doesn't, that sort of thing doesn't worry me. But we're not here to talk about COVID shots. We're here to talk about Starlies. So in the first video, we got all this junk and sifted through it a bit, and got an old bomb which has been parted out. In this one, I've ended up pulling the gearbox out. We'll put a clutch in. I don't know if it's any good yet. I haven't started it yet. I'm doing this intro sort of just because I was kind of in the mood to do it. And we'll get it all mobile and running, and then in the third one, I'll do a third one, we'll put it all together and finish it. So, I don't think there's two, oh, there was one. I found another one, and I thought, oh, and it was a watermelon coloured one on Marketplace, 850 bucks. I thought I'll offer a bit less. It was smashed in the right-hand front guard. I thought, got another right-hand front guard. Had no air conditioning, got some air conditioning, got another power steering kit. Oh, let's do this. But the guy sold it from under me, which is kind of alright because that was answered for me. I don't want another one. I just saw it and I thought, I'm sort of, okay, so I've got too many cars here. Everyone's going, oh, you've hemmed yourself in, you've got too many, you've got a cull, what is it, thin herd and all this sort of stuff I keep hearing. I'm kind of setting myself up for retirement so that when I retire, which, you know, 7 to 10 years, whatever, I will sell here. I'll buy a country property with a much, much bigger shed, and then I've got them all there. That's the idea. By then, even modest 90s cars might be too expensive. Don't know. I'm tipping a lot of 90s stuff will, particularly Japanese stuff, will go up in value quite substantially because it's the last of the simple cars, if you know what I mean. Get to sort of 2005-ish, cars are getting a lot more complicated. You know, your stability controls, and you know, a lot of them are standard with ABS and multiple airbags and all this sort of other stuff. So a lot of electronics in much newer cars, or in slightly newer cars, and therefore a lot more to go wrong. And a lot of the time, and I've seen it with BMW vehicles, they do get written off when there's nothing wrong with the car, just the electronics, because it's too expensive to fix them. So 90s stuff is not as safe by any stretch, but it's just as drivable, it's just as fuel efficient really. The cars are a lot lighter, so they're not as efficient, but they're still using similar fuel. And if you look at what people are driving now, everyone's in SUVs, those things suck petrol. They're terrible. So I'm tipping a lot of this 90s stuff, JDM stuff, will go through the roof. Maybe not through the roof, that's probably exaggeration, but we'll go up a little. Anyway, without much more babbling on, I think we'll get into it. So I hope you enjoy. You've seen this sort of work being done here before. There was a guy who mentioned that he was disappointed that I don't show the workings of what I'm doing. Starlets are a little bit YouTube suicide for me, and my view count's gone down a lot in this sort of stuff. Not just because of them, but because I think I keep chopping and changing my mind. It's too difficult to follow what I'm doing. Either that, or they've woken up to the fact that I'm just not very good at what I'm doing. Whatever, I don't care. What it sort of amounts to, though, is these are, I assimilate working on these things to like being a kid again and working on, you know, those Airfix models. I used to do ships, passenger ships. Some people did warships, there was tanks, cars, trucks, you know, all this sort of stuff, and they're very engaging too, those plastic model kits. I used to find it hard getting the patience to paint the bits before I fitted them. I just wanted to build the thing, you know, and then paint it later, which never looked as good. What was I going to say? Yeah, so I mean, I've done videos and videos and videos on pulling seats apart and this sort of stuff. I did it on the Sigma, I've done it on the Starlet, I did it on my green one. I even did it as a video that got 750,000 views, and all I was doing was chucking stuff in the wash. So I mean, it wasn't exactly mind blowing, you know, dissemination of great knowledge. So that was the reason that I did, whoops, the video the way I did. I'm not rolling this particularly well, but I don't think it matters much. So, for example, on that last video, we pulled it apart and I fitted power steering, but I didn't show fitting the power steering. There's already a video on that, you know. When Mum crashed that red one, or when it got crashed into by the cyclist, you know, I ended up pulling power steering off one and sticking it on the other, and I did a video on that ages ago. But it's like, whoops, it's yeah, I mean, it's already been done and shown. So I'm not sure what is going to be. Look at these. You can tell this isn't made off. It's got those little red clips. Toyota are the only people I've seen, or the only company I've seen that's included those. I hope you can see them. You just dock them off. Like the things that hold labels on clothes when you buy them. So yeah, I'm not really sure, but this is the sort of stuff that I really enjoy. There's no stress, everything's easy, and the other thing with the Japanese stuff is it just fits together so much better than what our local stuff does. You know, you go to stick a door on one of these, you stick it onto the catch, you do up the door hinges, close it, and you've got great shut lines. You do that on an old Aussie car, and you're there for a day trying to work out why the shut lines are so poor. These are pains in the ass, these things. When you do these, just be really bloody careful, because those things are razor sharp. It's punched out and they're literally razor sharp. You can feel that. It catches your fingernail, your finger at the moment you sort of rest on it. You've got to be so careful with these. Everything, the Japanese don't forget anything. They don't forget safety folds, but the plastic sleeve on the upholstery is designed to protect the motorist if he puts his hand under there. Now the good thing about these seats, which is probably the same for most cars, is that the frame will fit the driver's or passenger side, and so will the foam. The frames are the same, because the bottom, like pan, isn't bolted to the seat at all. It's done through the runners, and that's off the squab, the upright part of the frame. So that's the only thing different. That will still work on the driver's seat. The only thing different is it's got that, so you can just peel that off. Yeah, so design it. So it's almost time to go to the wash. So this was the ashtray that I thought was dirty, horrible thing. Turns out it's never been used. And all I did with this, I just used this cheap enamel stuff from the hardware bunnies, and jam. It sticks to anything, right? So the good thing about it is it now looks absolutely mint, and that paint won't come off. Even those vinyl paints, which I'm always dubious of, I painted a gear boot which is constantly being moved around in some grey stuff, and never shown any sign of lifting or flaking or anything. Modern paints are actually, particularly the jam, is really, really sticky stuff. So that's come up like that. This guy here, and that's the giveaway that no one's ever lit a dart in here. That just sits in there. Oh, look at that. Oh, damn. Oh, hang on. It goes inside there. That was a stuff up, wasn't it? Hang on. I'm just going to feed him down there. There you go. Look at that. That's perfect. That's literally perfect. Cool. Whoa. An abundance of seat poo everywhere. Look. Runners and foam and fasteners and buttons and all sorts of stuff. The reason for that is because I threw the seat covers in the wash, and they've come out pretty well, all things considered. Actually beautiful. I heard these referred to as the seats that the 90s threw up on. I actually love that. I'm really happy with that. That's cool. There's the basically cushion frames or the cushion pads. Now, the reason I'm doing this, well, like the Bluebird has a mint interior. I didn't need to wash any of that, but these things like dirty, really dirty, and that's still not that great, but it's better than a kick in the pants. The problem is, you buy a car that's being parted out and they treat it like that. Like this had a muffler thrown in it. That's part of the back seat. So these ones, I've still got so much cleaning up, so there's grease on them. It pisses me off a bit, to be frank with you, because, well, that one's fairly clean, because it needn't be like this, I mean, look at that. So I'm hoping I should really soak them, but I haven't got any soakers, so I'm going to bang them into the wash in a minute. This is the original driver's cover off the bottom. The other one, the squab cover, was that one with different fabric. Anyway, before we look at the car, I'm going to throw these in the wash just a moment. Because they're the original speaker grills from the 5-door car. So 3 doors didn't have them unless it was optioned with them. 5 doors were standard with speakers. So I'm going to undo those. They're starting to get a little bit flaky. Like marked up. I might just paint them black or grey. I've got some grey paint too, and stick them on the other puzzle tray. I've got a good one that hasn't been cut. This thing's pretty messed up, but just dirty. I reckon the best thing to do with this is just hose the bastard out. I don't know. I'll get to that. I'm not worried about it. So there's a few things over here. And the bit that I don't like is there's a hole, can I zoom in, over there in the carpet, and I hate holes in carpet. The rest of it doesn't look too bad, oddly enough. And there's a big stain here, I don't know what that is, but I think I'll pull the carpet out and I'll steam clean it, or pressure wash it, it's probably a better way of putting it. There's a whole lot of stuff that was lying on the floor. I can't get the electrics wet, obviously, but, there's another carpet I bought. Well, it was a 5-door one, and I cut it out with side cutters because I didn't have a blade with me. I cut out the front carpet. Hang on, let me try and pick it down. Here it is. So my sewing machine's buggered, but that one doesn't have holes in it, you see. So I can cut that and then have it sort of joined underneath the seat, where it's a little less conspicuous, but I think I'll use that. Because there was no 3-door cars left. The other thing we've got to do, I want to get rid of that. It's really sort of corroded just on that battery bracket, but that's also the gearbox mount too. So I want to clean some of that off. Oops, in there. That's the worst one I've had, actually. Right, well, we've got a machine flywheel. I just thought, you know what, I'll just do it. And I'm putting a new clutch in. These are great clutch kits, they're cheap, they're a lot cheaper than an Exceedie. They come with the thing, as I said before. I've actually cut one down, it might make it a bit easier to get on without the spigot bearing. I've got one of these in the other Starlet, not had a problem. They also come with that spigot bearing, which we're not going to use, and some grease, which I probably won't use either. Well, I did it by eye, I couldn't be bothered with the tools. They didn't work that well anyway, because there's a lack of spigot bearing there. I'm just going to have to hold that up. I'm going to put the gearbox in. I'm not going to film it because, well, I'm running out of time on this, and also I'm not feeling very well, so I'm just going to pop that in, and if we can get it in today, that's bonus. It can just sit there. Alright, a little bit of grease on the spine, not too much, and don't have it gathered too much at the back, because then it'll just flick off with centrifugal force. It's better to have it toward the front of the spline, because as you push it in, it'll work its way up the spline and not leave too much excess. A little bit of grease under the pivot points on the fork, between that and the thrust bearing, and also here as well, but not too much. You don't want too much at all. You just want it nice and free. Another pre-check, I guess, is just to make sure there's nothing hanging down where the gearbox is going to mate up. So I'm just going to get a bit of wire or cable tie and tie this up, and that way it's got a very clear run, I think, into the gearbox has a clear run into the engine. I've also rubbed this off. That doesn't look very good, but I cleaned it up as best I could with a wire brush, and it's just got some phosphoric acid at the moment. It's not great, but it'll do. Right, carpet in the Starlet looks fairly awful. We've got a big milky looking stain there. It looks like it's had all sorts of oil sort of gathered here. Something spilled in there, I'm not sure. Front doesn't look great. But the driver's one is particularly shabby. We've got a hole over there, multiple holes. If that cleans up, I'll just replace the driver's one. Otherwise, I'll replace the whole front. And I don't like doing that, but beggars can't be choosers. I'm just going to get some washing powder. Can't go wrong, huh? Lifting something out, most likely just dirt. The oil component will probably stay there. But end of the day, if we can make it look semi-reasonable / decent, well, that's not a bad thing. It's just these things are plastic backed, so the water that you put in does tend to stay there. And it's only a trashy car. There's nothing particularly brilliant about any of it. Look at that. What is that? I'll just give it a bit of a rinse. You can leave soap in there, it has a way of getting it dirty again very quickly. And these carpets can just drip dry over the fence and they'll turn out fine. You don't have to use any special products, it's just a little bit of washing detergent, a pressure washer and Bob Drunkard. So that'll be fine. Those rear carpets look good. But yeah, we want to get all the suds out. And this was actually quite dirty, this one I bought. Gotta mow the lawn. I've got to do so many things. I've been sick for 3 days because of that bloody booster shot for COVID. I have to have it as part of my job. If you don't get it, they don't let you work. Things on, and I now have gears. We didn't have gears before. Gears are good. Gears are my friend. Where's the hole? There we go. Let's have a look. Gear shift. Woohoo! First, second, well, hang on. Third, fourth, fifth, and reverse. Sounds like reverse. I think I've got everything right there. That can go. I'm fussy that these will get put back in the right spot too. If I can fit the bloody thing on. Maybe it goes that way, you dumbass. Yes, it does. There we go. Right, all those hydraulic lines, the earth is there. Gear shift things. Oh, the aircon drain, I've got to change the way they've got that too. Slaves on. That compensator has got 2 vacuum lines that have got to go on. Thankfully, these guys, see that plug there? That's the O2 sensor. Didn't come with the car. Normally when people wreck these things, they seem to take cats off, or any car for that matter. I've got a couple under the house, so I'll pop the drive shafts in. And I've got to get an exhaust system, which I have. I'll put those 2 vac lines on there. The rest of it's all good. I think, I bloody hope. I don't want to pull it all out again, but of course I might have to if the gearbox is shagged, which I doubt it. But I never found a reason for that horrendous noise that I was told about. And that always irks me a bit. I don't mind a problem, but I've got to find the reason for it. Right. Right, so why am I carrying around a big bunch of exploded clutch? Not to do with this, I put this gearbox in and there's a problem. And it sucks. I couldn't stop the oil leak. Then I found, right at the top of that, it's cracked. What a pain in the ass. And that's my fault because I tightened that up once I drained it. And I didn't tighten it much. I've tightened 1,000 gearboxes and never had a problem before, and it went click. And it must have had a weakness in the casing or something. But that gearbox has got to come out again, and it'll get given straight to work for the apprentices to pull apart and learn about 5-speed transaxles. Pain in the backside bit is that I've got to take it out again. But this one, this was out of the blue one I bought. I don't want to inhale this crap. And it had no drive because the clutch had exploded, as you just saw. So I'm just going to take this dust out, and it just looks like crap. But it was operational. What a pain in the neck, huh? You know what? That's what happens with old cars. You muck around with them and you stuff some things up and you do well with others. I must admit I've never broken a gearbox casing before. I still reckon it could have had a weakness because I didn't use a breaker bar or anything. I was using a spanner. Even though it's a breaker bar there, I didn't use it. Yeah, changed my mind. I'm going with this one. It looks nicer. I'll give it a bit of a hose inside. And I reckon that'll do. That was out of a 97 that I pulled apart a while ago. Anyway, got to do this lawn. There you go, Rosie, a washed gearbox. Right, here we go, round 2. Gear bag is out. That actually looks better than the one I'm putting in. It's kind of cleaner underneath. This one here, the 97, has a sweat underneath it, but it can get stuffed if it thinks I'm going to fix that. I'm just going to change the whole clutch fork and thrust. I've just got to clean out just gunk and stuff like that. This is probably a hell of a mistake doing this, but you know, I broke the gearbox casing, so I can't do much about that. Just got a lot of baked on grease and just crap around it. I'll clean these splines up a bit too. I might wash that with Prepsol. Just make sure all these splines are clean. Because it's been out of a car. I'm trying to think. Charlie was 15, I'll say. And that was 7 years ago. He's 22, or she's 22 now. I bought this car as a way to try and get Charlie off her laptop. It never worked. Somebody actually asked about the Honda Jazz, and Charlie had an MG ZS and didn't like being in debt, so sold it. Got reasonable money back for it too, surprising. I thought the resale would be rubbish on that, but it wasn't too bad. Okay, Prepsol, thrust bearing on there. Clutch fork on there with the thrust bearing on, a lube around there and on the spline again. Stick this in the car. This is actually karma. In 40 years of messing around with cars, I've never actually damaged the gearbox housing. And one of the reasons is because I've got a habit of fobbing these sorts of jobs off to other people. It goes like this. I get on the phone. Dave, how you going? It's Pete. I say, hi Pete, how you going? I said, I've got a clutch and can you do it for me? And he'd say things like, well, you can do that. I said, yeah, but I kind of don't want to. All right, let me go and get a stand. Just a moment, a tripod. There we go, that'll probably do it. Okay, in you go. Oh, almost. Yeah, I've sort of always tried to get other people to do it. It's just not much fun. I like doing fun stuff, particularly given that it's my hobby. But you got to take the good with the bad, right? That would be every time I drop the handle. All right. Here we go. Nearly there. Maybe be almost there. There it is. Sweet. I've got no reason to complain. You know, I'm able to do it. But one side of me is really lazy. Is there any daylight left? I'm just going to try and chuck this in. I'm trying to do it. Oh, I'm hitting the camera. Hang on a minute. There we go. I'm still hitting the camera. There we go. Oh, camera is so in the way. Whoops, just a moment. Well, I got further than it before. Oh, let me take this off. I'll bolt that hub up in a moment. Oh. And actually, I saw a small O-ring. One of those came out as I was putting them in the power steering lines. Sort of do the compensator there. But this new gearbox is in. There's a couple of bolts missing. They were missing before, so I'll find the right ones and put those in. But the rest of it is looking fairly hunky-dory. Pretty good. I'm happy with that. A couple of things. Crash bar. Was off a silver one I wrecked years and years ago. This exhaust system. They always, wreckers always take exhaust off. And whoever bought this car, or the guy that parted it out, sold off the cat converter, or the exhaust, because everyone seems to want the cats because they've got valuable metals in them and that sort of thing. This was off PGY. That was the red one that hit the cyclist, or the cyclist hit it. And it was the car that I got new in 1998. I did 50,000 Ks in it. Then my mother took it over and she did another 100. And when it was written off, I kept the engine because I'd serviced it from brand new and the engine went into that car. Well, actually, no, it went into the blue one first and then into that when the blue one was recalled with this Carter stuff. We've got this. We're missing one on the other side, but I've got one, so that crossbar can go on, or that thing. This is a bit scratched up, unfortunately, but it doesn't really matter. I was going to get a colour match and sort of, you know, tart it up, particularly this guard, because that was the guard I painted for the blue one, but the blue was wrong. There's the other silver guard, and I'm not going to bother because the whole car will probably need a paint anyway, so yeah, it doesn't matter. Power steering belt there. I've got a brand new one, but I found that, so I'll stick that on. There's that other brace right there. Oh, and an O2. I've got an O2 sensor there of another car I wrecked, the silver one. And I think we'll just stick the exhaust on now. Yeah, I think we will. Try that on beside me. I haven't got it jacked up properly. But, you know, beggars, hey? They're not the choosers. It's much easier to drop them than just to put them on. That's one. That's the other over here. It'll hold it for now, and I'll bolt up the front. That'll be right. It'll kind of hang there. She's good. There's a that earth strap thing. I've got to put that on. I'll do it after. I'll jack the back up and put the rest of it on after. These exhaust flanges are normally dead easy to get on. I've taken the heat shield off because the thread was damaged. I've run a 10 to 125 tap over that, or die over it, I should say. It's easier. What am I going down here? I'm just going to shoot a bit of CRC there. I'm just using a tap from above with a 1/4 inch extension upside down. It's not ideal, but it's better than taking. It's better than taking manifold off. If I can, normally you would use 2 hands for this, but we're using one because we can. Right, so that's all sorted. I've given an oil filter change. It's you see it? Where's the oil filter? Oh, there it is. I thought to myself, you know what? I don't know if this engine's good or not, but I'll give it an oil change anyway. And a filter change. The guy said, look how clean it is, and he pulled the dipstick out and it wasn't. But that's a bit overfull, so that's alright. That'll go down when I start it and it goes through the filter. It might be very noisy when I start it. If you leave these things sitting for a very, very long time and go to kick them in the guards, Sometimes they make funny noises. Not enough ATF for that, but that's alright. That'll sort of wet its lips for now. Hopefully I don't get seasick because I'm lying on cardboard with the camera. Here's an illustration of my absolute stupidity. I bought this bag of oil and I thought, you know what, it's not bad price because it's cheaper than the containers. And it wasn't until I got out of the car that I realised I'm an idiot because it's only a litre, not 2. That's why you shouldn't buy things when you don't feel well. Anyway, I'm just going to put the little thing on, so I don't know if I'll bother doing it like this again, but it's a squeeze pack, which makes it easier for filling a transmission. Yeah. Oh, I should go and get my drip tray, shouldn't I? Let's just squeeze this in first. Oh, look, that makes things so much easier. It shouldn't leak out. If it does, I'll spew. It's a pretty good way of doing it. That's about it. Not always lost. We can use it again with this, which is tedious, but what do? I put the rear wiper motor in. That's just 3 10mm bolts, or 6mm bolts if you like. Plug it in, good to go, we're fine. The trim can go on later. I'm about to start it. I've just got to put the rear muffler on, and I can't move it or do anything because it's got no pedals. I still haven't sorted those out yet. I could probably put a clutch pedal in, but there's no brake. Also, I'll put this on here to match the other side, and the crash bar, which came off an identical coloured car. Gearbox is full. Oh, the compensator. Hang on, I've got to do those tubes. They go from... Oh my gosh, where is it? There's 2 vac lines down here somewhere. Yeah, there. That go down to the compensator on the steering rack to help. I think I got a shot of it there, I'm not sure. To help when you're on full lock. I'm going to put those on now before I forget. That being done, or after that, we'll just stick the wheels on, put the front of the thing down, roll it forward so I can get that front door open, because it's hard up against a hedge, and get ready to kick it in the guts and do something about some pedals. That was slightly ridiculous, it's too high. Whoops. We've got wires hanging out everywhere, but they're just bits and pieces. Nothing engine runnerish, I don't think. And the same in here. I'm hoping this battery's got some juice in it. We'll try and crank it over. I've put fluid in, but I can't actually bleed the power steering because I've got no steering linkage. I've changed the engine oil and filter. I guess it might be pertinent to see that it's in neutral. That feels like neutral. We'll give it a kick in the guts and see what happens, eh? I don't really know what to expect. Some stuff happened. What's that belt squeak? Is it rubbing on anything? What about down under there? No, that's tight. What the hell was that noise? A little bit rough. Probably from sitting out in the rain. I don't know. I'll check the oil. Just a moment. I haven't got that chunk of wood sort of in the way of anything, I hope. Hang on a minute. Let me just get this in. That wasn't a bad guess. Let's have a look. That squeak, was anything rubbing against anything down there? I don't think it was. Hang on, we'll start him up again. It's a bit rough when it starts. Right, just a moment. Feel that rusty crap on the belt, the power steering pump pulley. That was. I don't know what that was. I've no idea. Oh, I haven't put the compensator thing on. I still forgot about those, but they're locked at the moment. Airbag lights on. Typical friggin' Starlet. Aren't they cool cars? I just don't know what that noise was, that squeal. It kind of righted itself. It ran rough, righted itself, and then bang, she was right. Oh, hang on a minute. There's it going in there. Let me turn it off again for a moment. Yeah, it looks and sounds fine. Sigma. You can see why I love these things. But the issue with it is, I still don't know what it's going to be like yet. Oh, it's righted itself. I'll bet if I start it tomorrow morning, it's fine. Okay. I just can't check the power steering. Like, I can't really prime it. And, you know, I can't check the clutch operation. Hang on, we've got a coolant leak down there. What's that? Oh. What is that? Okay, so I need to figure out what that coolant leak is. It's dripping. It's got a coolant drip down onto there. It's probably just a hose. Is it leaking it? Yeah, it's leaking out of that hose there. I could probably just tighten that. That's wet. Hang on. Yeah, I'll just tighten that up. Right, well, I think what we'll do is nothing now. I'm going to pack up. When I release this video, I'm going to do one more video. And what that will be is essentially, we'll clean this out, we'll put it all back together. All the seats are done. We'll stick some front panels on. I've got all this sort of sorted now. I think I might even pop a hose on the bottom of that. It does feel a little bit soft, but we'll tighten the clamp up for now. I tried with a Phillips head, but I need an 8mm socket, which I've got. Looks like it's warming up. But, you know, in all, it's fantastic. It's typical of these things, though. I was a little bit worried with that squeal. I thought it was belt squeal, and it ran rough, squealed, and then just went away. I actually don't know what that was. It was a very, I don't know how it came across on camera, but it was a very high pitch, and it was difficult to locate in the short time that it happened. But the belt, I don't think it was the belt. The belt seemed to be fine. So, a few bits and pieces yet to do, but basically that's it for the mechanic. I'm not going to do any more with it, really. I want to keep it. I wanted to keep it at 1 or 2 videos. Well, we've done 2, so I think now we'll do one more, and that'll be making it look like a car again. It should be painted. It's got scratches and scrapes all over it. Of course, the bonnet I put on, you know, scratch. So it's missing this thing here, which I got, another one. So it all needs to be cleaned out and then it's glued in. It's not peeling, which is the main reason I'm not thinking about painting it. And I'm not going to paint another car until I've got good, you know, a good place to store it and that sort of stuff. The other thing is, for the next episode might take a little while to come out because I cannot find the rest of my power steering stuff. I've got the other rack, the other pump, the other bottle, the other hoses. Power steering 98s use a little sort of shaft like that, but it's shorter. This one's adjustable, but it won't adjust far enough, I don't think. I don't know, unless I cut it for now. But I don't know where it is. And that's the reason I haven't put that cover on, that little black horseshoe shaped thing, and connected it up with the column. So that's why I can't bleed the steering. But you know what? I'll fiddle and fart with that later. I have got it there. The other thing is, before I put the guards on, I wanted to pop the holes in for the grommets and put the full central locking, power mirrors, all that sort of stuff in. But I can't find that either. When I was clearing sheds out, I was moving stuff around. I can't remember what to do with it. I had a look and I couldn't see it in there. But at the end of the day, I'm pretty happy with this. In fact, I'm delighted with it. I love these things. So, with that being said, I hope you've enjoyed this. Take good care of yourselves, and I'll see you soon. G3. I know very little to nothing about these things. Let me get a my. I'm in my bedroom at the moment. See. Right. Doesn't power on. Nothing happens. Don't really know what I'm doing, but I did notice our CMOS battery, which Apple calls something else, is missing. I did go out today and buy another one, which is a half AA 3.6 volt lithium. So I put that in, and then there's a way, I think, to reset the board. I think it is, where is it? That little switch there. Is that it? There. So that's what we're going to try. There's a way to do this and a way not to do it. I've downloaded some info, and I'm going to see if this works. Right, well, there's a couple of things we can do with this. One is forget it, not bother with it, which is always on the cards. The only other thing that's quick that I could try is another bit of RAM. I have seen faulty RAM stop machines from booting. I doubt that'll be the issue. I don't even know what that is. But somebody might have some idea what we can do to get the thing running. The other thing we could try is to just cull all this stuff and put Windows-based stuff in it, or PC-based stuff in it. But a lot of people have had trouble with trying to get that to actually work. I think it's been tried before. So without changing out the CRT and all that sort of stuff, it's probably not even worth it. But somebody might have an idea of what I can do to try and get this running. Anyway, I'll see you around. What do you reckon? She haven't. Jesus. Move. Move, cat. Move. Move. Come on. Off you go.